Yeah, actually, I'm thinking about what it would be like to fuck this pretty mouth. How I'd want to see it dressed in some pretty color only to fucking destroy it. And then proudly wear the remnants around my cock so I could see precisely where you'd been.
Good heavens. That's the cold open. We can't just... FCC regulations. Decorum.
Relax, it's called a hook. Like the book. Between the Pines by Amber Palmer. Cowboy shows up, says that and apparently panties evaporate across the nation. Or restraining orders get filed. Potato, potato.
It's potato. And this book? Well, it's certainly visceral. A classic tale of... Well, not much is classic about it. Is it? Girl meets boy. They engage in a frankly alarming 5-day liaison.
Bender. A 5-day sex bender. Let's call a spade a filthy, filthy spade. Then she ghosts him, ice cold, like you were about the gilded slug.
We are not revisiting the gilded slug debacle. My analysis was perfectly sound. Its allegorical representation of late stage capitalism was
boring. Unlike Lincoln Carter, our supposedly heroic cowboy stud muffin from Between the Pines. Who, get this after being ghosted, shows up a year later to work on the ghoster's family ranch, while she has a new boyfriend.
The narrative framework is predicated on a rather intense form of romantic pursuit. Some might characterize Lincoln's actions as problematic. Showing up unannounced, pursuing a woman already in a relationship.
Problematic. The man is a walking green flag dipped in testosterone and questionable life choices. He's devoted. Reviewers are, and I quote, feral for him. Feral, like wolves, or like me when the coffee machine is broken.
He also compares winning the protagonist, Josie, to streetish, untrusting horse. Is that devotion or condescension? Is he trying to break her?
He's trying to get her away from Ellis, the human equivalent of finding gum on your shoe. Honestly, Josie, this girl, I get the anxiety, okay? I have anxiety deciding which reality show to binge. But staying with Ellis, the guy disrespects her family, steals from them, spoiler?
Spoilers. Though, admittedly, Ellis is a narrative device, so transparently villainous, it hardly constitutes a spoiler. He exists solely to make Lincoln appear comparatively saintly.
Comparatively? Lincoln says he'll love Josie even if she turns into a worm. A worm. Is that not the peak of romance? My ex wouldn't even love me if I changed my hair color.
That worm comment strikes me as less romantic and more indicative of potential codependency issues. And Josie. Her vacillation is infuriating. She runs hot and cold. Ghosts. Lincoln clings to Ellis, engages in significant emotional infidelity. One reviewer called her wishy, washy, and frankly, that's charitable.
Oh, give her a break. She's an anxiety girl. As the kids say, she's flawed, relatable, unlike some people who think literary merit is found in sentient gastropods.
The Gilded Slug explored complex themes of, oh, never mind. Let's discuss Josie's choices. She allows Ellis to verbally abuse her family at their own dinner table. It's baffling.
Okay, yeah, that was bad. Even I wanted to reach through the pages and dump a bowl of mashed potatoes on Ellis's head. But Lincoln, he's patient, he waits. He says things like, I came to remind you of how good we were. Translation, remember the 5-day sexathon? Yeah, your loser boyfriend can't compete.
Is it patience or manipulation? He's leveraging their past intimacy and his presence on her family's property. It's ethically dubious. And the explicit language, while perhaps titillating for some, does it serve the narrative? Or is it merely smut?
Is oxygen merely air? It's essential. Reviewers are screaming, swooning, giddy, sweating from the spice. One said, and I quote, "I fear I might never recover from the man that is Lincoln. Never recover. From a fictional cowboy. That's the goal."
There. Recovery implies injury. Perhaps these readers recognize the inherent danger in romanticizing such excessive behavior. One positive review called it Hallmark vibe. Hallmark. Did they read a different book? One without the bomb-laden declarations of intent.
Maybe their Hallmark movies are just way more interesting than yours. Someone else said, "This man knows exactly who he wants, and he slowly gets her with patience and resolve." See, patience, not stalking.
Resolving to pursue someone who is explicitly unavailable. It's semantics. What if Lincoln were, say, you, an accountant instead of a rugged cowboy? Would showing up at his ex's accounting firm a year later and hitting on her while her fiancé is in the next cubicle be romantic?
Depends. Does the accountant talk dirty like Lincoln? Does he look good in spreadsheets? Context matters. We got a listener email. Okay, fine, I wrote it asking, if Lincoln Carter were a sandwich, what kind would he be?
This is absurd. Why would?
I'm thinking a spicy Italian on toasted sourdough. Looks rough on the outside, but inside, all heat and flavor. Josie is like a tuna melt that keeps falling apart. And Ellis is just the soggy napkin left behind.
Is surprisingly apt, if utterly ridiculous. The book does generate strong reactions. People either Lincoln's intensity or find it deeply unsettling. They empathize with Josie's anxiety, or want to, as one reviewer graphically put it, run that bitch over with my truck.
Whoa. Okay, even for me, that's intense. But see, passion. Love it or hate it, nobody finds this book boring, unlike certain slugs. So, is it actually good literature? Probably not by your stuffy standards. Is it entertaining? Hell yes.
It's compulsively readable. I'll grant you that. The central conflict, however contrived, creates undeniable tension. But the character motivations often feel thin, serving the plot rather than arising organically. And the love premise is inherently weak. 5 days? Really?
Sometimes you just know. Like I knew the Gilded Slug was pretentious drivel from page 1.
It was a nuanced exploration of, fine, let's rate this thing.
Okay, Between the Pines. For the sheer, unadulterated chaos, the man who talks filthier than my Uncle Barry after 3 beers, and the drama that kept me reading past my bedtime, I give it 9 out of 10 Stetson hats tossed onto a bedpost.
Given the questionable consent implications of the initial encounter, the borderline stalking behavior, botch, Josie's infuriating indecisiveness, and the sheer grammatical audacity of that worm comment, I give it 4 out of 10 emergency therapy sessions.
Deal, see, we almost agreed.
We absolutely did not.
Anyway, that's all the time we have on Heartbook Radio. Tune in next week when we tackle Chronicles of the Sentient Cheese Grater, a love story.
Oh, for the love of. Is that even real?
Does it matter? See you next time, bookworms.